crisscross, pulling floss, needle thread from black to red, pink, navy green, and in between, snuggles my brain. I'm Stitch Me Sane, and welcome to my Flosstube channel.
Hello, my name's Carla. Welcome to my Flosstube channel, Stitch Me Sane. Welcome to any newcomers to this channel, and welcome to any returning subscribers. I'm really grateful for you joining me today and sharing with me my love of cross stitching. This is Flosstube number 7, and it is Thursday the 16th of February in Melbourne, Australia. I today am going to share with you a new start that I've had. I'm going to share with you progress on my Stitch Me Sane Wow Wall of Women. I'm going to announce the 1K celebration that I shared with you last Flosstube. And thank you to everyone that has commented on that Flosstube. We'll get to that later on. And I just want to show you my progress and talk about what's been happening in the last 2 weeks. So first of all, I want to say thank you to Yastitch. He shouted me out on his channel, and I'm so very grateful for that. Thank you. If you are not aware, he's doing a contemporary cross piece that I'm in love with, a big blue piece of the ocean. Phenomenal. Go check out his progress on Instagram as well as here on Flosstube. I'd also like to say thank you to Nikki Stitchy here on Flosstube and Instagram. We've been chatting, and she shouted me out on her recent episode, I think it was a couple of days ago, which I really enjoyed. Her Grand Library by Amy Stewart is absolutely amazing. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend doing so. Every time I see it, the red sofa chair, the armchair in the center of that piece, oh wow, Nikki, absolutely amazing. Keep going. I'm really looking forward to seeing your progress on that one. Okay, if I haven't said it already, it is full coverage February, and Colette Stitcher on Instagram, yes, and the Highway Stitcher here on Flosstube. Wow, she's been doing some really fun stuff every day with this hashtag, and I'm proud to say that I've been working pretty heavily on my full coverage pieces this month so far, well, halfway through, just over. And I'm really grateful. It's been so much fun watching everyone's progress. I love full coverage, as you know. If you're new to this channel, that is my thing. I am a full coverage stitcher, and they are getting bigger and bigger. Just warning you. Okay, so yes, that's what we're going to be talking about today, and I'm going to kick off with my new start that I made on Valentine's Day that I did post on Instagram. It is a Riolis kit, and it is my very first kit. Shout out to Dylan. It does inspire me, this piece. It reminds me a little of us, and I guess I wanted to show you the actual kit. It's quite an old kit. It's nearly 10 years old. It's from 2014. And I picked it up on Facebook Marketplace. I was so wrapped with it. It came in all of its packaging, and I will show you so here is the cardboard cover that it all came in. Look at that. I love it. I was talking to Barb at Stitch Brat on Instagram about this piece and my plans to start it, and the overwhelming chart that I will actually also show you, and all of the different stitches and blended threads, and you know, there's a lot of back stitching in multiple colors, but it is gorgeous and I'm really up for the challenge. I was also talking to her about whether I should use the kit fabric or not, because it's a 14 count Aida, and it did have some fractional stitches in this kit. But after a pretty good look at the chart, I'm confident that they're pretty minimal, so they might end up being full crosses in the end anyway. So I have gone with the kit Aida, the 14 count, and I think it's going to look wonderful. It's a beautiful color, because in the chart, which I'll show you now, the outside swirly sort of vine leaf bits are actually also stitched, and they're really subtle, and I think they're going to look really beautiful on this fabric, this color. So this chart is a paper chart, which I'm rocking old school because I'm a bit of a pattern keeper girl now. And it came in 2 pieces. I got a working copy. Thank you, Dylan, for making that for me. And I have stuck them together to make it a little bit easier, but I'm not actually too sure if it will be at this stage because it is really, really big. Check this out. What I love is the up close faces, the detail for the back stitching. That is really cool. I like that. And then as you can see, these swirly bits on the outside are actually going to be stitched in a color that's not too dissimilar to the fabric color, and the subtlety I think is going to look really pretty on the outside of that solid oval, which is full coverage. But as I said, it is, you know, there's half stitches, there's stitches with 3 strands, 2 strands, 1 strand, full crosses, ooh, lots of back stitching. But I think it's going to be really fun. And I do like a kit because, you know, sometimes it's nice just to have everything all there ready to go, the needle, everything. The threads are anchor threads, and they came on these really nice floss cards, and they're all really neat and tidy, you know, when you're in a kit and everything's neat and tidy to start with, but I'm sure that won't last long. So yeah, I'm really excited to get stuck into it. I'll show you where I'm at. It was a very small start. So I've started in the center, which is also a thing of mine. And look at the color of the fabric. It is actually a little bit bigger than I anticipated, being on the 14 count. And you can barely see my start, but if I bring it right in, you can see there that that's the start of, I think, the lady's dress sleeve or something. And the actual start was, would you believe, a blended thread to kick off. So it's already on in terms of just the differences, I guess, in what I'm used to with Pattern Keeper and just getting stuck straight into a really big full coverage piece. So stay tuned. I love it. And I was really excited to start it on Valentine's Day. Okay, so the next piece I wanted to show you, and I actually thought it might be worthwhile to show you how I do this, because I often, if you've been watching me, I show this piece every time. It's Unicorn. I'll show you what it's going to look like when it's finished. It's beautiful. The pastels are stunning. I have some anchor substitutes in the colors. I think there's about 15 colors in total. So it makes the perfect travel piece. You don't need to carry a lot of colors with you. And it is symmetrical stitching, so quite mindful and just comes together beautifully. And I thought I'd show you how I travel with my piece. And when I say travel, I mean if I think I might have 10 minutes spare at basketball training or a school pickup, or where I'm waiting in the car somewhere, I'll take this with me. And it's amazing how much progress you can get on a piece just throwing in 50 stitches here and there. I actually went back and had a look, and I've nearly made 10% on this piece since November just by using this method. So it's something to consider if you're often just sort of, you know, waiting around quite regularly for those little periods of time. So I just grabbed this as I'm going out the door. It's in a canvas bag that I picked up in South Africa when I was there last year, that I absolutely adore. Isn't it beautiful? Just love that print, so colourful. In it, I use Pattern Keeper for this piece, and for Pattern Keeper I use a Lenovo Mate, which is nice, small and compact, and I use this for all of my Pattern Keeper stitching, so I do take this with me. And I carry it in this, which is a pencil case that I made in Year 9 textiles, so quite a few years ago now. I love it. And we were learning how to do tapestry, so it's wool I'll bring it in and show you. And we were given free rein over the color choices and the stitch design that we wanted to put in. It even goes down there. I can remember doing some of these. There's actually a bit that's come out here, so I mustn't have secured my thread tight enough. Lesson learnt back in the day, because I have used this quite heavily over the years. I quite like it. My mum would have helped me put the zipper in and probably sew up the pencil case a little bit. But there is a bit of a story to this that I'd like to share, and I was thinking about it, that my textiles teacher, her name was Mrs. Mori, and I loved her. I had so much fun in her class. She was an older lady and she just knew so many things, and her rooms were just full of all the collections of stash that she'd acquired over her years of teaching, which would have been decades. And she, I believe, was in that one room for all that time. And she had a back room and it was just full to the roof of just material and threads and wools and yarns and just supplies galore. I just remember it being amazing. And if you had a relationship with her and showed an interest in crafting, I guess, she would go that extra mile for you and spend some time with you at lunchtimes or... Anyway, so I have fond memories of Mrs. Mori, and funnily enough, she also taught my mum at the same school. So we both have very fond memories of her. She also taught my sisters, and she showed me how to sort of get into needlecraft, if you like. I think that's when I really did develop a love for colour and all of those, you know, creative ways in which you could use thread. So back to my travel piece. That's what I carry my mate around in, which is the perfect size, and it just gives it that little bit of cushioning and protection so that I feel it's not going to break because I don't have it in a case. And then I just carry a little snippers, just those types of ones. I feel they're sort of safe to just bump around in. There's no blade or anything. On my actual work, I use a needle minder, and I do carry a spare needle on there just in case I lose it. I actually broke one last night at basketball training, so lesson learned, it's always a good idea to carry a spare needle with you if you're going to have a travel piece. And then I have this little lipstick sort of thing, which I think is super cute, and in that is spare needles, because it's actually a little pincushion inside that little lipstick case. So that's, I just have those things in here, and then I just pop my mate in. I have my work on a hoop ready to go, and usually have a needle preloaded, and I just have my floss or my thread on a card that I just made myself, which is actually in a Ziploc bag just to protect that as well, and I just take that with me. So it's that simple. Just make up a little, you know, do-it-yourself thing. So I've already shown you what this piece was going to look like. My travel piece is unicorn, and I do show it to you every video. I'm stitching it as 4 separate pieces on 18 count, 2/1, and I showed you last video that I actually swapped it out and started working on one of the 4 pieces I hadn't in a little while. So this is where I was at last time you saw it, and I'm actually really happy because I've made what I feel some pretty good progress in 2 weeks, nearly 500 stitches, which is not quite 2%, I believe, and this is where I'm at now. So as you can see, I've come into the center. I actually also last night discovered that I'd made another little error here in my counting. So I'm going to have to frog probably about 15 stitches here, but that's okay. The mistake was easily picked up. And I really like this one. It's the pastels with that green is quite a contrast. So yes, that's an 18 count, Carolyn Manning. Unicorn. I'm actually at 33.14% on this piece now. In total, it's, I believe, if I recall, 27,000 in total, the total stitch count. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm just going to keep working at it as my travel piece and see how we go. I'm going to continue working on this particular one until you see me next again, and hopefully work across the sides a little bit further. So I'll just pop that away. Okay, now we're going to move on to one of my 5 HAEDs. It's Farewell to Anger. It's quite a recognizable piece. There's many people stitching it on Instagram, and I'm using the hashtag Colors of Aframov, which is inclusive of any Leonid Aframov piece. They are beautiful artworks, colorful, it's so fun to stitch. My selection is a max color. It's the regular size by Heaven and Earth Designs, 239 colors. It's a challenge. I'm still working on the first page finish on this piece, which I am yet to accomplish, and it's been many months that I've been working towards this target, I must say. This is what the piece is going to look like when it's finished. I'm now actually at 4.71%. I'm not going to show you where I was last time you saw it because I haven't put a whole load of stitches in, but I did work on it in the last fortnight as part of full coverage February. So we'll take a look at it. I'm stitching it on a 25 count 1/1 Lugana, and I think it's kind of maybe a natural color. It's not an antique white or white. So that's where I'm at now. And I'll bring that in for you to try and show you some of the color that is in. Look at that. So I'm coming down to the light post. You can see where that first page is trying to take shape. I love this piece, but it is, the max color is tough going. Everyone says it, and it's true, I agree. Check out how big it's going to be. That's the 25 count. So I've still got a fair way to go. But it's a really fun stitch and I really enjoy it. Working on it just little bit by little bit. So that's my Farewell to Anger. Okay, the next one that I've got is actually one that I showed you in my last video. It's for my Willow stitches, and I was to achieve 600 stitches. I didn't do it again. I can't believe it. I don't know why I find this piece so challenging. I am well and truly over the 50% mark. It is Blue Nude and is my oldest working whip. Wheel of Stitches I'm doing with Angie Slowly Crafts and Adventures of Stitching, Alicia. Kaylee, 10 Stitch is also doing it. And I really want to complete this goal because I've been chatting to Angie and Alicia, and they're going to get to select my next spin if I can ever get this one done. So I think I'm down to, out of those 600 stitches, I think I have about 150 left. I did touch it since you last saw it, so that's promising. This is what it's going to look like when it's finished, and I'm stitching it on a 14 count Aida, white Aida, 2/1 full cross. It is a kit and it is so confetti heavy, and I went crazy when I first started stitching on this piece and just stitched wherever I felt like it. This is where it was at last time you saw it, and you're not going to notice any difference, I don't believe, because I have been working really heavily on ninja stitches. And I did actually try and complete a page. I still don't even have a page finish on this piece. The page that I'm trying to complete is the bottom corner, and it is like A4 page, this much. That would be fun, just to have that little page, you know, those little pages finished, page finish. This is where I'm at now. I do love it. Look at that. It's gorgeous. This piece is just beautiful. But now I'm going to bring in, and I'll show you the corner that I have really tried to finish. And you can get a really good idea of the confetti in there. But it is getting pretty dense down the bottom now. which I'm very pleased with. And I've mentioned before that it's my eldest daughter Willow's favourite whip of mine. So 150 more stitches and we should be able to get another spin on my wheel of stitches, which I'm really excited for actually. I find it really fun, just the randomness of it. But for some reason, this piece has been tough. So that's my blue nude. I actually wouldn't mind to finish up that this year, but I'm cautious in saying things like that because it's making a commitment. Okay, my next piece. Oh, this is exciting. So I am working, as I mentioned, on the UXS28 challenge. So Jodie from Unconventional Cross Stitch has put a challenge out on both Instagram and Facebook to work on an unconventional cross stitch piece every day for the month of February. And so far I am on track, which I'm really pleased to say actually. And I have 3 pieces, which I showed you last video: Memento, Mori, Enter the Void, and Invitation to Sojourn, that I was going to work on for February. Kaylee 10 Stitch is also doing the same thing. The Stitching Whippet also has an unconventional cross stitch piece. There's so many out there. I love them. Jodie does phenomenal designs. And the first one that I'm going to show you today is my Memento Mori, my orange stunner, and I'm working 25 count 1/1 Lugana for this piece. It's a really long skinny piece. This is what it's going to look like when it's finished. It's gorgeous. I often run into a little bit of difficulty on Instagram with this piece, which frustrates me somewhat. I've stickered and done a few bits and pieces, but this piece of art and Instagram often don't agree. So I am at 10.87% now, which is nearly a percent since you saw it last. And I've put in well over 1,000 stitches, which I'm very pleased to say. This is where it was at last time you saw it. And this is where it's at now. Look at how orange that is. Hang on, let's first have a look at what I mean by long and skinny. I mean, that's, that's very... My aim was actually to try and get down to the bottom and run along the bottom for a little bit in that beach. Let me fix that a bit better there. There we go. Which I've done pretty well at. Coming down here. And I do have a whole page finish on this piece. And there's a lot of orange. The camera is playing tricks with my eyes. I don't know how it's working out for you with the orange. So that's Memento Mori, unconventional cross stitch, 25 count 1/1. And I think you'll see her again next video because of not only the challenge, but I'm actually really enjoying it. It's got the perfect balance of block stitching, and now I'm getting into a bit of the confetti down there with the ocean starting and her tail. So that'll be really fun. Okay, the next unconventional cross stitch piece that I have been working on is where I'm going to step in and talk about my Stitch Me Saying Wow Wall of Women is the hashtag that I have been using on Instagram. And I am just really touched by the inspiration that everybody has been communicating to me, that this vision of a wall of women has been giving you. So I've been giving it some thought, and I thought it might be nice to have a bit of understanding of, I guess, the inspiration that has led me to this wonderful vision. If you're new to this channel, I have multiple pieces now of female faces that I have been stitching and creating a Stitch Me Saying Wow Wall of Women, where I'm going to have a wall, an actual wall, full of strong, powerful female images. And your comments have blown me away. The starts that I have seen, it gives me all the feels. So a little bit of background as to sort of where this vision developed, I thought might be useful to share with you at this point in time. I am a lawyer who has worked in the criminal justice system and the social justice system here in Melbourne, Australia for the last over 20 years now. And I am inspired almost daily by the strong, empowered women that I meet in my career that are often in the most difficult and most vulnerable positions in their lives, and are just, the strength that they demonstrate it blows my mind. And I feel very privileged to be able to use my skill set to help often women in the space of criminal family violence and family law. So that essentially has created, I guess, a little bit of my vision and really inspired just, I guess, getting that female image out there and the diversity and, you know, powerful image that it represents. I also have 3 amazing, beautiful, just everything to me daughters that it's important, I guess, to me to demonstrate and show them, I guess, a world in which they can accomplish anything they wish to. So on that note, I guess that's a bit of where WOW comes from for me. And this hashtag is not something that is my own individual, hashtag. If anybody wants to jump on board, I invite you, please. You know the types of pieces now that I'm envisaging with this wall of women. Jump on board. Let's grow a international wall of empowered, strong female images made out of love, community, art, showcasing the designers, the fabulous talent and creativity that we have in this community. If that's something that inspires you, I would love to see your pieces on the Stitch Me Saying Wow hashtag. Please share your work with me, share your work with others, because we are just inspired by others, we're motivated by others, and certainly in this world I'm enabled by others, and I want to see those pieces. If that's something that interests you, I would love you to join me. So I am just completely touched by the interest that you have shown in my WOW. So on that note, let's get to the stitching that I have in my WOW today. And the first one is Enter the Void by Unconventional Cross Stitch, because we're still continuing on the UXS28 journey at the moment with my other 2 pieces. This is what it's going to look like when it's finished. It was inspired by my trip to South Africa, and I actually worked really hard to get to the 10% goal by the end of last year, which I achieved. And this is where it was at last time you saw it. Since then, I have put in over 500 stitches, and I'm now at 10.45%. So a little bit of progress since then. I've worked primarily along the top. This is where it's at now. The camera doesn't really do this one justice, I find. There's so much pastel. I posted on Instagram a reel which I found, because the pastel in the hat is just woohoo. So I've worked along the top there. I don't know what you can see there. Along the top. to try and give it a little bit more structure around the hat and the border, if you like, the blue border. But look at her face. Oh. And her eyes. And just the way those sun, the shading from the hat comes through. I love it. So you'll see more of her. 25 count 1/1. Not sure if I'd said that. And I've got some anchor substitutes in here as well. Into the Void 2. I know there's a lot of others stitching either this one or there's an Into the Void 1, which is also stunning. I had difficulty choosing between the two of them. Okay, the next one I want to show you I'm rather excited by actually, and it's still on my hoop because I was working feverishly on it last night. Oh, I'm really enjoying working on this one. It's called Invitation to Sojourn. It was my Secret Santa from last year. So it only got started, goodness, just before the end of last year, I believe. I can't recall the exact date. I'm working on a 28 count 1/1 Lugana. Here is what she's going to look like when she's finished. And that hair, oh, I'm so excited to get to her hair. This is what she looked like when you last saw her. And since then, I have put in over 1,500 stitches and we are now at 1.11%. I love it when you get to the 1% mark because I feel like it's no longer a new start and it's an actual whip. Although sometimes that can be rather challenging. I was saying that to Alicia because some of our pieces require in excess of 2,000, 3,000, even more stitches to get to that 1%. So even 1K is pretty good. But this is where I'm at now. And you can see her lips. You can see her chin is very defined now. And I have decided to come in and work on her hair and perhaps the hand. That little lacy bit around her wrist was quite pretty. But I don't want to stitch her face straight away because there's a lot of other things, like many of my pieces, that need to be worked on first. So that's where I've headed, and I am so very pleased with where she's at. Look at the shading in her. Jodie does such a wonderful job. So she's definitely going to be getting more love between now and the end of February for the UXS28 challenge. Let's just use the hashtag on either Facebook or Instagram. There's a group on Facebook. Okay, back to my notes. And next we have another exciting one that I want to show you, and this is by the very talented Kaylee Tent Stitch. I have a couple of hers now. I'm thinking about maybe another one, but I'll probably talk to you about that in my next video, I hope. This is Delphine, and I call her my fairy floss stunner. For those of you, we call, what do you call it? Candy, no. Oh goodness, I can't remember. Fairy floss, you know, the sugary deliciousness that you get at like the carnival or something. Yum. Anyway, I digress. I'm stitching this on 28 count 1/1. This is what she's going to look like, which is, will probably give you a bit more understanding of what I mean by fairy floss. The pastels, the colors, they are completely me. I love this piece, and so do a lot of other people apparently, because Stitchy Butterfly 84 Kath, Alison the Stitching Whippet, I know, has also got it but hasn't started yet. Nina at Nina Hobby Site, actually I need to check in to see if you started, Nina. Michelle at Michelle's Cross Stitch 72. I love this piece. I'm really looking forward to seeing your progress as well, because she's beautiful. This is where it was at last time you saw her, and since then I've put in 500 stitches and I am now at 1.43%, and this is where she is at now. I've got to make sure I'm getting it up the right way for you. So this way, that's where she's at now. So 28 count again, which I'm finding I'm really liking for my bigger full coverage pieces. I've got a lot of threads again. Sorry. It's just the way I stitch. And you can see the shading coming in. I went for a center start, so that's actually the start of her neck taking shape. I don't know yet where I'm going to go, which is the whole fun of a center start. But I am loving working on this one at the moment and can't wait to get into those blues and the pinks. Oh, so good. Okay, and my lucky last one to show you. Again, I'm not going to show you a piece of where you saw it last because not even 200 stitches, but I did work on her and I do love her. She's one of my Heaven and Earth design pieces, Paradise Found, artwork by Janelle Nickel. Angie Slowly Crafts loves this piece too, and I know that she's looking forward to starting a piece of this art by this artist herself in the near future. I also use it for the I Just Want to Fly sale on Instagram, which is really fun if you're stitching anything with a bird, and I have multiple, so I often contribute to that hashtag. Since you last saw it though, I am now at 2.75%, and I'm stitching it on a 25 count 1/1 Lugana. This is what she's going to look like when she's finished, and I just find this piece of art so fun to work with. When we talk about big full coverage, often the backgrounds can be tedious, time consuming, and can sometimes feel like a slog that's never going to end. This is not that way in any way. It has bits and pieces going on in all directions, anywhere you want to stitch, and it's really fun. I actually started it for my birthday last year, so this was my birthday start. And this is where I am at now. As you can see, that flower has now developed. I'm trying not to leave a whole bunch of ninja stitches in my wake with this piece, but as per usual, in Carla style, off I go, stitching off wherever I please with my park threads. But I really, really like this piece. It's so fun. And you just stand back and go, wow, there's a flower. Look at that. Yeah. So that's the last bit of progress that I have for you today. I hope you have enjoyed what I've had to share with you. And if there's anything that you're stitching that I'm stitching, please let me know. I really love keeping an eye on people that are working on pieces that I am. I find that really fun. That's, as I said, all the work that I've got to show you. So now I want to move on to the 1K celebration. And firstly, I just want to highlight thank you to everyone who put in comments. Usually I respond to every single comment and I love doing so. On this occasion, I chose not to because of the nature in which I was asking people to comment, and I just felt it best, because I wanted to pick a random giveaway option, I found it best to just stay away, which was difficult, and I do apologize if you are hoping for a response on this occasion. It won't happen again unless something similar like this takes shape. I love responding to your comments, so please keep them coming. So without delaying this any further, thank you. As I said, it was for my 1K celebration, and I just thank you. The first designer that was to be celebrated was Unconventional Cross Stitch, and I do apologize for not being able to show you it happening live on my screen, but I then quickly realized that I film on my phone, so that wasn't going to work, and I haven't quite figured out the tech on how to do that. So I've taken a screenshot of the random app picker, and these were the winners in order of the pieces. So Unconventional Cross Stitch Chart, any of your choice from that store goes to Sia Ma. Thank you so much, Sia. Perhaps you can choose a piece that is a piece that you love or maybe even to go towards the wow, because Jody has a lot of them over there. This was your comment. Thank you so much, and I hope you really enjoy stitching a piece from Unconventional Cross Stitch. Next was a very generous donation from Paula at Contemporary Cross, and her pieces are amazing. I have 2 on the go at the moment, of which I didn't show you today, unfortunately, but wow, you really need to go and have a look at. She's a fairly new designer as well, so if you're not aware, jump on board, because I think you're going to be enabled a lot. Thank you, Paula, for generously giving the chart, and the winner for that one is Rachel Crawford. Thank you, Rachel. This is your comment, and I hope you have fun in choosing a piece and stitching on that. I hope to see your progress as well if you want to reach out. The final piece was a piece from Kaylee Tent Stitch, the sewing shop. I've shown you Delphine today, so if that's something that you want to stitch, there's similar pieces, and I love her style as well, and as I indicated, probably going to make a new start in the near future with another of her pieces. Thank you so much, Kaylee, for your generosity as well. I really appreciate it. And the winner for that chart is Straw Bunny Crew. Congratulations, Straw Bunny Crew. Congratulations to all 3 of you. Thank you to everyone who took the time to comment. Your comments were just so beautiful and kind and touching, and I loved every one of them. If each of you want to reach out to me, please, we can arrange for that chart to end up in your stitchy hands very soon. Instagram, my email address is here on my account, or you can just drop a comment if you like, and I'll respond. So thank you to everyone again for that. I also just want to shout out to a lovely lady who reached out to me, Leslie from Perth, since my last video where I said that I had developed, I think, a need to collect the DMC Olga Gostin Australian Architectural Design kits. There's about 12 I've discovered, and I had managed to get my hands on 2. Well, Leslie reached out to me, and she was destashing a rather large estate, I believe, and Leslie was reaching out to people all over this country where she was aware of certain things in that stash that people were looking for, and there happened to be Olga Gostin charts, and she said, would you like to have a look at these? Leslie, I was so, wow, thank you so much. I obviously snapped that opportunity up, and I have another 4 on my way, and I'm really looking forward to that package. Thank you so much, Leslie. I'll be sure to share that here for everyone to see my growing collection of those DMC kits, which I think I would like to start sooner rather than later. Okay, wow, this has been quite the video. I hope something along the way has inspired you. I certainly have had a wonderful stitchy fortnight, and I look forward to seeing you again sooner rather than later to give you an update on how I have finished off full coverage February and UXS28. I don't anticipate any new starts in that time, but you never know what might happen. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for coming along. If you liked everything or anything or just a little bit, subscribe, comment, like, start stitching, let me know. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Happy stitching, everyone. Take care.